Had a bottle of Rage mixed up with me. Knew I was going to end up having to use this. It's a good thing to have handy. It helps knock out sap and just really contaminated paint like this, so I didn't have to use so much elbow grease later on. So with a vehicle like this, the only way you're going to get it clean is to just rip out the carpets, and luckily it's fairly easy to do that. I'm just going to end up taking soapy water to all this. I'll show you here in a little bit, but right now I got to pull everything out. Here's all the carpets. Backside. You do have to remove this piece to get the carpet out. 2 bolts right here and then a bolt up there in the cup holder. Just gotta pick this stuff up. I'll rinse all this out because there's like drain plugs, so I can just rip those out. I'll pick all the coins and bigger stuff up first, and then just rinse this out because there's all kinds of soot and dirt. So this is what I'm going to use for the interior, just getting all the floorboards cleaned. Just some regular awesome degreaser, some tire degreaser, an old mitt, a soft scrub brush, a stiff scrub brush, and then a detail brush. I got some plastic up here, throw a bed sheet over, and I'll throw a little bit more plastic over here. But I'm gonna scuff this up to prevent it. You know, this thing's old. I don't want her to have issues down the road with it. So just a little surface rust, nothing super bad. Gonna scuff it down with a red Scotch-Brite pad, wipe it down with alcohol, and then I've got some silver paint that should match up fine. Got this one painted. The goal wasn't to make it perfect or anything like that. See, I got a line right there. I just wanted to get coverage over where rust was starting, so that was really the whole goal of this, not to be perfect. It's getting pretty cleaned up in here. I will have to hit this dash again and that. They're cleaned up good. I wiped it all back out again. So, came out pretty good. Get the carpets put in tomorrow, probably let this dry for another day and start wrapping this thing up. Pretty much just cleaned up underneath the Jeep after pulling all the fender liners out and got whatever mud or dirt was left behind that. Scrubbed the tires with tire degreaser. Adams, it's great stuff. Look it up. I'll put it in the description. And I cleaned the wheel face off with a detail brush as well as the lug nuts. Washing the paint off was really simple. I used a detergent soap to just kind of get whatever I didn't get off with the Rage or pressure washer, and then I used a clay bar to pick up what that didn't get off. So just really covering my bases and getting it as clean as I possibly can. It also was good to have the fenders off, and that way I could kind of clean all that stuff up too. So there's a lot of little eyesores that needed to be addressed on this Jeep. One was the gas tank. So I took a red Scotch-Brite pad and some Rust-Oleum paint, and that came out amazing. I was really happy with that. I did also do the door handles. Taped around the frame and then cut out a piece of plastic and then taped around that again just to ensure I didn't get any overspray. Wiped it down with alcohol after I scuffed it up, and then just did a couple thin coats of the same paint I used on the gas tank. Well, I'm using a Rupes yellow pad with some polish just to kind of clean the paint up, kind of enhance the paint a little bit more. I don't believe this was a clear coat, but when I took the fenders off, it almost looks like it had maybe been repainted before and they had used a clear coat. And I don't think any of these Jeeps were painted with clear coat. I could be wrong. Mine was just like a single stage paint, so I was a little bit confused by that. But just I stuck with the yellow pad and some polish. After that, put a paint sealant on there. It's like a 12-month paint sealant. Kind of helps bring some of the shine back as well. While that was drying, I cleaned the windows. Normally, you want to let that sealer sit on there for 20 minutes to 40 minutes, just depends. Well, you've probably seen in a lot of my videos, I'll use solution finish, and right now I'm just wiping it down with alcohol. That's pretty much what you want to do before you apply any of this stuff. Also, it's hot enough outside now where you don't have to use a heat gun, but you can use this on painted surfaces, and to keep everything at the budget we were at, I was able just to apply that to the bumpers, and you'll be able to see they came out really well. So the fenders were really a challenge for me because I didn't have an angle drill. If you do plan on doing this, you need an angle drill. it's going to make your life a lot easier, or you're just going to have a giant headache on your hands. Basically, there's this black piece, and the screw will go through the fender and sandwich the fender to the metal. Now, something I learned was I took a pair of vice grips and just started pre-screwing those plastic pieces to fit the screw threads, and that's what changed everything. I figured that halfway through. But just do that. Pre-screw them if you don't have a angle drill, but just get the angle drill. It will make your life a lot easier. So these little side flares were a chore in himself. That Nerf bar runs right underneath that body panel, so I couldn't get a socket wrench up in there. So what I ended up doing is tightening the screws almost all the way, and then fitting the fender flare on there. Tighten it the rest of the way with my hand, and then I found a small enough socket wrench to get in there. And it was just a really slow rolling process because I only had about an inch or two of clearance there, but you might want to get some stubbies if you do this. Use some cutting compound that will remove 1500 wet sand marks. That helped clean these up quite a bit. Another thing somebody pointed out to me was Meguiar's chrome wheel cleaner. Worked really great too. So here's just kind of a walk around. Towards the end, I had around 30 hours in this detail. Fender flares came out great. The wheels ended up coming back. I did also polish the Nerf bars. I think I was most impressed with the interior. It's cool when it works out, when you spend a lot of time and everything comes together and cleans up really well. Sometimes you can clean and clean and clean and not really get any traction, but this one just turned out really well.